Maybe we'll get some Wi-Fi would be helpful. Let's see if we can get some Wi-Fi that's not in Orlando. No. Okay, I'm just trying to get the Wi-Fi. I'm having a Monday. Let's see. Now my computer, because I'm running late, wants to make sure that it's me and nobody's broken into my computer. Let's see. All right. We're good. Hey you guys, how you doing? Happiest Monday. So today's the 17th, so I'm like, there's 2 more weeks left in February. There's not. There's just a few days. Let's see. January's forever, and now February's flying by. All right, I'm drinking coffee way too late at night, but I need it. Hello, hello. All right. Okay, that we can all hear. Everybody, hello, hello.
Hello.
We're live. Yay. Hi, Travis. We missed you. There was nobody well behaved this weekend. That's why we needed you to round us out. There was 4 girls gone. 4 girls gone wild. All right. So I let all of our friends in. Fantastic.
Quite a few people were worried.
I know. I know. I was worried. But here we are. Together forever.
Us behave? Never. We agree, Tanya.
Yes. No. I might have broken some laws driving home, but I'm here.
And looking magnificent.
Magnificent.
Yes. Blowout? Okay.
I just got my color done.
I can tell your hair looks nice and poofy.
Yes.
And yes, absolutely. And I had to make sure that the background is left to right and not right to left.
It's the correct way.
Yes, it certainly is. Are you happy that it's the correct way?
Yes, I was so sad this morning. It was just me and the voices in my head, and I just wanted to call Stephanie and Elena and Cindy and say, I'm drinking water. But Cindy, I need one of y'all send me a water bottle that will blink and I can drink 5 gallons of water a day. Cindy's concerned that I'm an iguana.
Yes, I am very concerned.
She's very concerned. You guys put in the chat, please don't forget the lipstick. I would never forget the lipstick. This is 580. This is 108 from L'Oreal. 108 from L'Oreal. You have to say it like that, though.
I actually ordered a couple today so I can get pinkier.
See? We just need to get your blonde highlights started.
Oh, I will send you a picture with me with blonde highlights. Yes, we will start doing that again. I like that face.
Yes. All right.
Okay. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay, here we go. My son, 7, is in speech, no improvement this year. We have an IEP meeting soon. What should I ask for?
Data. Yeah. So I would ask for the paperwork prior to the meeting and just say, please send me a draft of the paperwork prior to the meeting so I can review. Without that draft ahead of time, it's unlikely I'll be able to make an informed decision. I might have to reschedule. And we look forward to you sharing the data for any proposals, updates, or changes. And then you can always add muffin at the end.
I love muffin. Let's see.
And do we have new dates coming up, kids?
Yes, we certainly do. Are we talking about the dates in June and July?
Yes, we're talking about that.
Okay, so those dates would be June 7th and 8th.
And July 19th and 20th. So June 7th and 8th and July 19th and 20th, we'll have another 2-day live in person right outside of Orlando. So we'll have it up on the website tomorrow if you want to do that. So that way when you guys are off in the summer, it'll be fantastic. It's just about 45 minutes from Orlando in Melbourne. So we're very excited. So please join us June whatever we just said. 7,
6 and 7.
6 and 7, and then the 19th and 20th, and then we'll have it up on the website tomorrow.
I'm sorry, June 7th and 8th. That's the Saturday the 7th and Sunday the 8th.
June 7th and 8th, July 19th and 20th.
Correct.
Be there or be square.
Oh, we don't want to be square.
We don't want to be square.
Okay. Can you please tell someone what they can do to get a one-on-one call with you because they have questions?
Yeah, I mean, I have an hour coaching call on the website, but if you're looking for representation, that's different than if you have questions. But you can book an hour of my time at specialeducationacademy.com.
As a special ed para, I appreciate you greatly. I see IEPs being broken daily, and I wish I could be more of an advocate. You are great.
Oh, I'm sure you're doing a great job, so we appreciate you serving kids. There's no more important role.
And we need to tell Honey Hubs, you just type your questions in the chat here. That's where you submit your questions.
I like that, Honey Hubs.
Yes.
You guys are so smart with you're so clever with your names. Yeah. And there's Barbara. Barbara's about to go to bed, but she said, I'm good, Barbara. I'm good. I just drove in from Orlando.
She texted me immediately to let me know that she could not find you. And I rest assured her saying she will be on. Always checking up on her kids.
Nothing like being on a plane with 700 toddlers that are leaving Orlando. It was fantastic.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah.
Can they wait 60 days before sending out the consent form? Even when I ask for it immediately?
No, there's no 60 days for a consent form. So when you've requested something, they need to provide you notice and consent, and you need to meet with them to sign that. And then that starts a timeline in their state.
How long do you suggest keeping data on student progress?
I assume that's a teacher. So I would say for that IEP year, and then whatever the expectation from your district is to load it up into open records.
Okay. What is the best way to request accommodations for college?
You would go to the disability office at the college once you're enrolled, and you would sit down and tell them and talk to them about the accommodations that have been helpful and would be helpful in college. Somebody said they saw us in front of Seminole County, and we did a good job. You can thank Elena, Cindy, and Stephanie for that. I was just the talker.
The whole face of it all, and I'm so thankful for you. Ah. As a mom, I was told that FBA was only done for children with extreme or aggressive behaviors. Guidance, please.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Yeah. We do that for behaviors that are impeding their learning or the learning of others that cannot solely be managed by the general education staff.
What can we put in an IEP to hold schools accountable during emergency drills? My son was denied a bus drill.
I mean, if your child rises to level of needing a specific safety plan, you can always put that in there.
We asked the school to do an IEP evaluation, and they said no. They don't think he needs it. Can they refuse me?
They can refuse you, but they have a legal obligation to provide you a prior written notice, which must meet all 7 federal requirements. It sounds like they just told you no.
What do I do? I have a student with an IEP and a bio. He refuses to do work. The SPED director told me to, quote unquote, pick my battles.
So I would give him the grade that he's earned, giving him the accommodations that are allowed.
What happens when the special education teacher leaves the school and they don't have a replacement?
You'll be due compensatory time for those minutes, hours that were not delivered in the codified IEP.
This is, okay, what would you change about special education if you could?
Oh, I would have superintendents fired if they knowingly didn't staff classes and knowingly lied to parents. Yeah, and so I'll go ahead and address this. I'll address 2 things tonight. So people want to know about the Department of Education, and people want to know about 504. So everybody listen. So the Department of Education is there. It's not anywhere else. Federal statutes don't go away. I don't work there. I don't not work there. It sounds to me that they're looking at making it a more efficient entity. Number 2, the 504 conversation. So I am not an attorney, but it's very normal practice for an attorney to file on the entire statute. So when you look at the 504 filing, the very last thing the attorneys for those plaintiffs did say was the entire statute. If you don't file the entire statute, if parts of it you want to litigate come up in a hearing, the other side can object because you didn't file the whole statute. So that's very common. So please be careful for people that are out there fanning the flame for stuff that hasn't happened yet. It really makes me concerned. But anyway, so there's the parameters for 504. Department of Education will be delivered and implemented and funded by an entity. Hopefully it'll still be that entity and it'll be more efficient. At this point, states deliver 86% of all state education funds as it is.
Great answers. Is there a way to add scrubbing to my son's IEP? He's a cancer survivor with ID.
I don't know what scrubbing is, dear.
Okay, neither did I. Okay, maybe Tiff.
Is that a medical process or something? I mean, I don't know what that is.
Tiff, we need some clarification.
Yeah.
Okay.
She said script. Can you add scripting?
You said script?
Scribing.
Oh, okay.
Can you add scribing to his IEP? Yeah, you can add scribing to anybody's IEP that needs help in written production. However, you don't want to do something for him that we could provide in another way that might build a bridge over the barrier. But certainly if he needs help starting sentences, that's something that's allowable.
I'm a new teacher thrown into a collaborative class and no support is coming in. What can I do?
I would reach out to your amazing leader called the principal and say, "What's up, Doc? Where's my people?" Yeah.
Let's see. Why can't a tutor be added to an IEP?
Because tutoring has nothing to do with an instructional day.
Let's see. Are you... Oh, wait. Hello?
Am I a swimwear model? Is that what it said? Am I a swimwear model?
Yes.
Yes, I was a swimwear model, which is pretty obvious, in 1972 during Watergate. It was a good run. Summer of 72, I was crushing the two-piece. Those photos are not on the interweb because they hadn't invented the photography process yet. Thank goodness.
Are we all so glad?
We're so glad. Those of us that lived in the 70s and 80s, we're so glad that what we did was not captured on film.
Right. Most of us would not be alive.
Right, Elena? Mm-hmm.
Hello, says Michelle. If the district recommends a neuropsychologist, what happens if you disagree with the report?
Well, I don't know why a district would recommend a neuropsychologist. A neuropsychologist is not a requirement under IDEA. Maybe a little more clarifications under that. So Jess, am I coming to Baltimore for CEEC? I am not, love, but we are coming July 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th to DC. But one of my partners, Stephanie Rodriguez Barnett, will be there, and she'll be handling all the boss questions.
Oh, a certain someone says you look fantastic tonight, and the lipstick and blush are perfect.
When I put that blush tonight, the blush was by Orf, O-R-F, and all I think about is Rhonda Austin. Every time I put on blush, I'm like, do I know what I'm doing? Yeah.
And it just happened to be her comment that was just read.
Oh, it was? That's fine.
Yes. Let's see. Special ed teacher assigned to a private school. She pushes IEP goals on the teacher instead of her. Guidance?
We don't do that. I would tell her this ain't that. A private school is not a public school. I have trained private schools that tried to provide an educational plan that mirrors a special education plan, but there's no obligation for that.
Okay. What can I do about my child being sent to ISS for behaviors related to disability until his FBA is done?
Nothing. Unfortunately, he's subject to the student code of conduct without modifications or accommodations if you don't have completed testing.
Okay. What is the protocol if schools don't have a special education teacher replacement while they are sick?
If somebody's sick for a few days, that's not what myself and our partners are filing on. People get sick. If somebody's out for, they have to do a long-term treatment or, a number of things. We had a young man that unfortunately lost his wife in November of a school year, and the district never replaced him. There was not an effort to replace him. There was not an ad to replace him. So we understand short things. Maternity leave. Okay, so maternity leave, Tiffany, is very different than when we had kids. We had 2 seconds to have the child. So I think maternity leave, I don't know how long that is now. Is it 12 weeks? I don't know. But if you're gone for many weeks, there still has to be a special educator in there implementing the IEPs and collecting data on the 504s.
Okay.
And Tiffany said, can the instruction from the IEP still be delivered to the para? So the para can only deliver instruction that she's modeling after the watchful eye and supervision of a certified special educator.
My daughter is in special education, but I want her in general education. Is that possible?
Well, anything's possible, but we're supposed to advocate about what's appropriate. So we look at a child's needs in the least restrictive environment across content areas. And so if there's a content area where it would be appropriate and she could make meaningful progress in general ed, then I would certainly consider that.
Are paraprofessionals legally allowed to have access to 6-part files? They have IEP documents in them.
Of course, they're part of the special education team. I thought you were going to say 6-part harmony. Is there a 6-part harmony? I don't know. I feel like we almost had a 6-part harmony this weekend. We cannot tell you about it, but it was good. What is my education? I don't know. What's my education, you guys? 28 years of representing families in IEP settings. I do about 500 IEPs a year. I'm a certified mediator for the family courts in Fort Bend and Harris County in Houston, and I'm allowed to represent families all the way through due process as a non-attorney advocate in the state of Texas and have been for the last 10 years.
How about all those wonderful press conferences that get over 100,000 views and 1,000 likes and questions and supportive comments?
Yeah. Do I have a teaching certificate? I do not. I would have never been a teacher. I like children, but I don't want to spend all day with them. God bless teachers. You have an amazing load that you carry.
Can mediation mend a relationship with a teacher? Or is it just a way for the school to not move my child?
The intention, I have a mediation this week. The intention of a mediation is not to mend anything. It's to privately come to a decision that both parties can live with that helps the student with a disability.
To deal with an FA student who has no triggers before he becomes violent.
I think that you need to look for a more supported setting in a behavioral unit.
Let's see. I looked at my state education agency website, and my son's special education teacher did not have any results. Advice.
Well, first of all, I'd make sure that that's her name. Obviously, those of us that have had a maiden name and husband number 1 and husband 25. I had a girl the other day, and they told me her name was Christy, and her last name started with H, and it's actually, there is a L-A in front of the H. So I would ask for her legal name from the district before I assume that she's not on the state's website.
The adapted skill areas do you evaluate when determining eligibility for ID?
I think there's 6 or 7 areas in formal adaptive behavior. If your cognition is in the 0 to 1% or lower, and then you have 2 formal adaptive behaviors that are not in the normed and average range, then she would meet the criteria for ID, but then the determination is made by the IEP committee.
Okay. Is there a required number of paraprofessionals in an autistic or life skills supported self-contained classroom?
No.
Okay. My daughter's school changed paras every January to February, but my daughter has a hard time with a new paraprofessional. Is there anything I can do?
No, ma'am. No, sir. I just assume everybody's a ma'am. So I'm going to ask a question. Honey Hubs has a question. Is there a way to find out if you have advocates in other states? So myself and all of our advocates advocate from sea to shining sea. All of our IP meetings are done via Zoom. It's a much more professional model, as all court cases are done that way. But if you want to look for an advocate in your local state, you might try COPA, and you might reach out to your state education agency to see if they had an entity.
Fantastic. A student with a BIP graduated behavioral program. There's no data that supports that, and the student's behavior is concerning. Help.
Help. So I'm not really sure what the question was.
Okay. Let me reread it because I might have missed an ending. There's a student with a BIP who graduated the behavioral program.
Okay, so first of all, there's no such thing in public education as graduating a program. So I don't know if that's an outside entity, but we don't graduate programs in general ed. We might no longer have the acuity of that need. Is that what you mean? We probably need just a little more clarification because I want to be able to answer their question correctly.
Absolutely. So that was user, and it started with 551, just in case you see it come in on the bottom. Oops. Hang on. Oh dear. What did I do?
Can you clarify accommodations versus modifications? Yeah. Accommodation is how you learn, and a modification affects what you learn.
Okay. My child has met goals for occupational therapy at school and no longer qualifies for these services. Can they still stay on their IEP?
So those two things are not necessarily connected. So just because you meet your IEP goal doesn't mean you no longer qualify for services. So if they've met their IEP goal, that's the assumption that would happen in every goal that we write for special education. So if you got OT services by a formal OT evaluation, I would get out of OT services by formal evaluation.
What's on resource classrooms with
It broke up a little bit when you started.
Okay, absolutely. What are your thoughts on resource classrooms in grades 6, 7, and 8 that are delivering core instruction for ELA?
No thoughts. I mean, you can have resource on ELA. What do you mean? What are my thoughts? So resource is a requirement under the federal code 300.115. So there are kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that are going to need resource for ELA.
Let's see. I am a one-on-one para with a student that has an ABA, but our speech and OT don't like what the ABA suggests. Any advice?
So when you say the student has an ABA, ABA is a modality. Maybe a little more information on that, because ABA is not a requirement or delivered in general education in public school. So probably maybe give me some more clarification around that.
That's Caitlin with a C, just in case it comes through.
Okay.
Somebody said she wishes she could have helped you unpack your car and get into the house.
Well, you still could, because it's all outside. Because I ran in and put on my grown clothes. I had on my Eeyore sweatshirt, but I thought that may not be appropriative. Is that a word? Appropriative?
It is now.
It's like appropriate and supportive. It's just appropriative.
Can instruction from the IEP still be delivered by a parent?
Yeah, instruction that they're modeling from a special educator. Sure.
Does every public school in a district need to have special education services, or can it be centralized?
Ugh, you must be talking about Missouri. Yeah, it's supposed to be everywhere.
How long does it normally take to transfer a child from the district to a state school?
That just depends on many things. I have a client right now that her daughter's going to long-term care, so we have to wait to an opening, or they have to get the paperwork in place. It's not like you want it to be right. So there's a location just outside of Houston in Huntsville, an amazing entity called Bays. And you might have to wait several weeks, but then the commitment is that the student will stay there for 18 months. So it just depends on where you're going.
Well, can a school go without, oh no, we already read that one, sorry. Does accommodation for promoting cover guiding through an assessment?
I'm not really sure what that means. There's no accommodation for promoting. A student is either placed or promoted into the next grade.
What should schools do to meet social goals on an IEP for social goals?
Have social skills curriculum, and then have a way to model or contrive settings so that a student has an opportunity to practice those skills.
Ooh, having a curriculum. How novel. How should an exit IEP go?
Well, it should go well. All IEPs should go well. I mean, you should have the data to support the student is no longer in need of special education and related services.
Right? Is there a required, oh, we have that one. Got that one?
Somebody just said, is there a requirement for special education directors to be special educators? Say it with me. No. No. But why would we want them to have special education experience? Oh, I don't know. So in Texas, the statute actually says special education directors solely have to have some knowledge of special education. And I would like to say, I've been in those meetings. I've met those people who have some knowledge. Isn't that right, Stephanie? Yes, we have. And when we say some, it's a lowercase. It's S-U-M. It's a little some.
Okay. And can a district admin overrule the decision of an IEP team to move a student to a BD program?
Yeah, if she wants to violate the law, she sure can.
What is your opinion on a school demanding a new diagnosis of dyslexia for giving any accommodations?
No, we don't demand anything. There are certainly discrepancies nationally about dyslexia. For what reason, I have no idea. So I would go past that and do a full cognitive evaluation, all 7 Gs, do full achievement, reading, writing, and math to include OE and LC, oral expression, listening comprehension, and then whatever of the 9 SLBs are existing, they will be teased out there.
I love this comment from Just Kidding. Her education equals results. All capital letters, exclamation point. Love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's a duplicate.
So I'm going to just answer this question. So somebody asked about school vouchers and special education students. I don't have any idea. What I can tell you is that private schools are schools of choice. Charter schools really are schools of choice. Church schools are schools of choice. So I wouldn't imagine that it's going to be a great setting for children with identified disabilities to go to private schools, whether that's school choice or a family choice. But there's that.
There's that. Any updates on Denton ISD's OCR complaints?
They're there. Yeah, so the Office of Civil Rights is a government entity. They do not move quickly, but we have 2 federal complaints open there. And next week I'll have more information about Denton that I don't have now. Okay? All right?
Oh, all right.
Remember?
Got it.
Okay.
I have an IEP for SLP with accommodations for ADHD and anxiety. Should special education staff be part of this team?
Well, it doesn't sound like you have an IEP for anything other than speech. If your student has ADHD and anxiety, those should be eligibilities. So there's that.
Are you a lawyer?
I am not a lawyer, but I'm allowed to represent families in multiple states as a non-attorney advocate because of my expertise and my understanding of federal law, expectations, and state statutes.
Okay, I see part of this question. Can you speak on the length of how long it takes to get services? And it says, for years, I started in K. So if you could talk on the length of services, I'll get the rest of the question.
Yeah, so you should have an evaluation. At the conclusion of that evaluation, within 30 calendar days, we're required to come back to the table, look at those evaluation results, and then determine one of three outcomes. Your student has a disability that doesn't need more support, your student has a disability that needs the support of a 504 plan, or your student has a disability that needs the support of an IEP, an individualized education program.
I didn't see the rest of it. Okay. It takes months to get our child moved to a state school for disabled. Is this normal?
It's not unusual. It's not unusual.
Usual to be loved by you. Oh, I'm so glad you sang it because it was in my head. Let's see. My son is a picky eater. Can I add a daily food log in his IEP during an ARD meeting?
Does it impact his ability to be successful at school? Is it an educational need? I don't know. I don't know that that's an requirement of an individualized education program. If you had a child that had a dysphagia evaluation and the way that he eats is a safety issue or a health concern, then certainly we could write a goal around that. But picky eater, I wouldn't imagine rises to the level of an individualized education IEP goal.
Is there such a thing as too much oversight? My blind daughter has been asking for more independence.
Too much oversight. There are schools that over support kids, and I think it's very rare. That's great. I know teachers worry and they can be fearful and concerns for kids' safety. So, then we just want to go back to the table and say these are ways that we need to work on her expanded core curriculum so we build independence in the community, those sorts of things. And you should feel very blessed that you have so much attention on your daughter.
What time are we stopping, boss?
When I get good and ready. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Yeah, in 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Understood. My child's IEP was removed at the end of last year. Can we ask for IEP retesting for next year?
You can ask for testing anytime that it's been over a year since they were tested. And you believe there's an educational need.
Let's see.
Ooh, somebody gave me a jalapeno pepper. That's exciting. I think, Stephanie, that's one of the peppers from that empanada we had.
That was quite the hot thing. Is it legal for the county to force the general education teacher to provide minutes for monitoring math goals?
If there's an IEP that's delivered in general ed with a general ed teacher and a special education teacher, they would both be required to monitor the goal.
My two sons have ADHD. One is on an IEP, the other is on a 504. The one that is on a 504 is having issues. Do you recommend him going on to an IEP?
I recommend that you test for an IEP and see if he meets eligibility. Absolutely. Thanks, you guys, for all the gifts. I appreciate it.
Multiple disabilities, should vision still be at the top or is it implied?
Implied. My eyebrow makes things implied. Now, vision should be at the top. Deaf blindness should be at the top. Deaf and hard of hearing should be at the top. I feel like we just talked about that this weekend at the training.
Yes, ma'am. Let's see. A lot of repeats here.
Repeat? Is that a friend of yours? Repeat?
Yes. Can schools hold an annual IEP for 3 minutes? Or 3 MNS? 3 MNS.
Months.
Oh,
Thank God. Can they hold it for
Thank you.
3 months? Like hold it, not do it? Or can they take 3 months to do it? I'm gonna need clarification.
and that one comes from me.unica.rosa. Okay, just in case it comes in on the bottom. Let's see. My child has met goals for occupational therapy at school and no longer qualifies for these services. Oh, that was a statement, not a question. And that same person also said, can school hold a triennial over 5 months? So maybe some clarification on that. Can you discuss modifications or accommodations towards property damage and physical aggression, pre-K behavioral issues?
There's no accommodation for property damage. That's not a thing. An accommodation is something that we add so that the student can be successful on their IEP goals. So I would assume that you have a behavior intervention plan, and that's a targeted behavior that we're looking at working on to mitigate that. And we'll take one more question. Somebody said, can uncertified paras be evaluated by a principal? I think that a principal can evaluate anybody that is one of their employees. I don't know that they should, but...
Correct.
Can I be a pretend principal? Can we just like order little principal badges and just, I'm here comes the judge, something like that?
I would highly support that.
And I do want to say, in case y'all didn't see it on the press conference, the 17 police officers in the building and the 3 police cars, nobody would take a selfie with me. I just want y'all, we would have posted that. But we all waved when I came up, didn't we?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. What is the number considered to be a small group instruction?
You know what? That's a good question. It's whatever the educator agrees is a small group. So if you have a group of students that have classic dyslexia, that would be a different size small group than if you had students that were very emotionally dysregulated. So it depends on the acuity of the disabilities. All right, so we're gonna jump over to the great. We have VIP coaching at 7 every Monday night. If you guys are interested in that, just shoot us an email at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. We have 2 in-person lives. Hopefully, we can control the air conditioning. We have 2 in-person lives scheduled this summer, June 7th and 8th. And July 19th and 20th, just outside of Orlando. So that will be live. They'll be up on our website tomorrow. So have your sunny, fun days with the special education boss. Tube tops will be optional. I think Elena's wearing one. I'm thinking I'm gonna wear one. Okay. All right. If you guys need anything, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next training.